So this is Raw with Jazza, okay? Or Jazza. I have been watching Jazza for a very long time now. He's been a very long time creator. Frankly, he's been kind of in the scene since, like, Newgrounds was prevalent. He has been a prevalent figure in the art community for a very, very, very long time. Did a lot of animation, did a lot of big projects, and then he became a very big YouTuber. Within the last couple of years, there was a little bit of controversy running around with his brother, Shadiversary, who is very much a AI artist. Like, he's one of those guys that will go in and he will defend AI, or at least he used to. I don't know what his stance is now. And a lot of people were, going after Jazza, asking, hey, can you speak up about this? What is your opinion on it? And he didn't know what to say about it. Finally, he put out a thing saying he believes AI can be an art form, because he didn't want to discredit it at that point because it was new and there was actually, some kind of use for it back then. But now he wants to put a proper stance onto this, and I believe a lot of what he's saying and what he said before, what he's saying now, I think matches a lot of what I think. So I'm going to bring this one up. This is a very important, very deep talk, especially for artists, and means a little bit to me. So I wanted to share this this viewing with you. I watched the first 7 minutes. It's a bit of a longer video. We're sitting at a 43-minute and 43-second video. Oh my. Let's talk about AI. Yeah, I'll give my 2 cents as we're going through.
I've wanted to talk about AI for a long time, and I haven't quite known how. My last attempt was unclear and dwelt very rigidly in the grey area. And in the
gray area is usually where I kind of sit, like light gray area. I don't like AI. I'm kind of in a situation though where, like, in a point where it's like, the more we fight against it, the more prevalent it becomes, I find. Because, like, the more you tell somebody, no, you're wrong, the more they're going to just sit back, just buck against that. But also, the more you tell somebody, the more you just don't even care about that, the more they're just going to, keep going with what they're doing. It's an annoying situation. I don't like AI. Generative AI, specifically. Normal AI, not too bad. Generative, though, definitely a problem.
months following the release of that video, I've come to realize and accept that there really isn't much of a place for a grey area in this conversation anymore. So right up front, loud and clear, let me say that I am against the use of generative AI in the production of art and content. And I want to also clear.
I sit in the position of knowing what it was originally for. Yeah, unfortunately, what it originally is for and what it is now are two completely different things. And yes, this is exactly where I'm standing. I'm against the use of generative AI in production. That's where it needs to not exist.
Really pledge that I and my team will be committed to producing art and content without the use of generative AI. And let me be very clear, none of the products that I have ever released or sold have ever used or touched AI at any stage in their production. They have been painstakingly handmade by me and my team over the years to empower artists. In that vein, I'm having a sale for the next 3 weeks, 50% off of all digital products on the JazzaStudios.com shop. To be frank, this sale is motivated by the fact that I and my staff are taking a break over the holiday period, but we all still have bills to pay. So it's a big discount that supports your artistic journey and supports my human studio and team. It's a win-win. So.
Yes, and also thank you guys, by the way, for that. You guys are doing a lot to help me with my bills and all that, and I might actually be able to start helping my family with bills because of you guys. So I very much appreciate that.
Why did it take me so long to say that I'm against generative AI in art? I mean, it does feel kind of late for that sort of statement, right? Like, especially to those who have been vehement.
AI generated Hatsune Miku holding a sign saying AI art is art, teehee. Wow, this is This is worthless.
Against generative AI.
Unsubscribe from Disney Plus. Pirate Owl House. I don't care. Fuck Gen AI. Oh god.
Since it's pro.
Owl House I don't believe is generative AI at all, is it? No, I don't think so. No, it doesn't have that. And Owl House was a fantastic cartoon. 100,000% recommend that cartoon. Now my AI, the virtual artist uprising that took on big tech. It was originally used to test case for diagnostic AI. It was released as a toy. Ah, yes. Owl House was before this too. True.
Proliferation. Well, let me take.
Oh, I'm assuming they were saying Pirate Owl House. Because that's like one of the only good things that Disney has right now.
You on the journey, because my views have changed drastically, and as a techno enthusiast and early adopter, I have been watching and involved in AI art since before, I'm going to say, most of you watching this. I started playing with AI in art almost 10 years ago, and in content on this channel with the early
2016. I was 16 years old, and I actually recognize a lot of these little clips he's showing here.
the release of Google's AI clip art experiment. In 2019, I got very excited and amused by what were essentially the capabilities of AI art tech demos, rudimentary and broken at best. And in the following years, I kept my eye on AI because I was really interested in this new intersection of art and technology. Then in 2022, DALL-E 2 came out, and that's when AI started.
Disney Plus is trying to sell AI generated content. That message was from Owl House's creator. Oh. There we go. That makes sense. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Also, Amazon apparently is trying to AI generate English dubs for their anime, and it sounds like ass.
Started to gain the attention of the wider public. It was still very rough around the edges, but at the time it really showed a lot of potential. This was the golden year of AI art, simply because the novelty was compelling, but it still wasn't good enough to feel threatening or make anyone uncomfortable. And later that year, ChatGPT released in November, and that sealed the deal. The Pandora's box of AI was open, and the conversation around AI and the ethics attached to it would become very complex very quickly. Now, at first, both as a content creator and an artist, I was still very excited by AI in art and possibilities, both for content creation and for what it was capable of empowering artists and myself to do. And in a now removed video in December of 2022, I shared my then stance on AI art.
And I should also mention that around this point when he released this video, like, I agreed with a lot of his stances in a way, but at the same time, I didn't like them. and I also don't like that, and it just didn't feel right. And I haven't been watching a lot of his stuff since. Like, every now and then I'll see something pop up on my feed and I'll be like, okay, I'll try watching one of your videos. But I haven't been watching a lot of his stuff.
This is hard to watch.
So here's my current opinion.
To be fair, whatever you've made like X amount of years prior to you today, it's going to be hard to watch.
I believe AI art is art. I believe AI art is intertwined with the future of art as a whole. I think it is meaningful and useful to use AI as an art-making machine because art makes people think, makes people feel, and helps people talk about and engage about the human experience.
I think it's safe to say I had a very different stance on AI then than I do now. A week or two after releasing that video, I began to notice protests on art websites like DeviantArt and ArtStation, which were specifically protesting AI art appearing and having equal.
Case in point, DeviantArt for quite a while, I'm not sure if they're still doing it, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. They allow you to upload generated AI and sell it on their marketplace as art prints. They have allowed people to what is it? Enter contests, art contests with generated AI images. DeviantArt has been a bit of a shit show for since probably 2016, quite honestly.
Full floor space on these websites as human-made art. And that was just the beginning. Following a lawsuit in January of the next year, filed by 3 artists in a lawsuit against Stability AI, Midjourney, and DeviantArt, claiming that their work was used to train datasets without permission. But from this point onwards, generative AI continued to become more competent and to invade more spaces that were established for humans to share art, and thus began the Great AI art divide. The black and white that I highlighted in my very grey video. Is training generative AI art models theft, or is it just super-powered learning? Can AI artists legitimately be considered to be artists, or are they just self-glorified text prompters? It quickly became clear to me that there were layers of this that I didn't yet understand, especially after having made such a clear stance on it, which is why I removed the video and decided that I wouldn't speak on it again or use AI in videos until I could confidently say something I believed in and I could know why. And years passed.
Yeah.
Every month seemed to bring with it a new AI controversy or shocking announcement of
OpenAI announces Sora 2 and an AI video and audio app that allows for user cameos. A video announced for the app showed photorealistic videos that our company said was all generated by artificial intelligence.
progress or a new model available. And with that, more and more examples that were proving to me that AI was not turning out to be the art elevating thing that I had envisioned it would be, but would instead embolden generative AI art apologists against their critics, as well as copious disheartening examples of corporations that would use AI shamelessly or sneakily to advertise their products, including
It's been happening so much. And YouTube has been getting bad about it too. Hell, there's probably a lot of it being used on Twitch here. Actually, that reminds me. Twitch even released an emote a while ago that was generative AI. Despite having one of their largest platforms, one of their largest categories on Twitch is an art program, is the art category.
Wacom, which was
This one takes the cake though.
so gross on so many levels. And they make digital tablets for artists. What are you promoting here? Buy our tablets? Or don't use our tablets. You don't need to anymore. Oh my God. All of that brings me to today. My optimistic view was purely through the lens of my passion for the expansion of creative possibilities. But my opinions have changed over this long journey as I've learned more about how AI art is trained and generated, about the growing negative impact that this race for AI supremacy is having on the economy and the environment, as well as watching in horror as uncreative slop has infested and overtaken algorithms everywhere. There have been a few hints about my shifting views on AI in a couple of recent videos, and now I find myself here when 3 years ago I was a vehement advocate for the acceptance of AI art as a tool for artists and the ongoing future of art as a whole. I no longer think or feel about these things the way that I used to, and I want to dive into that. Because AI is more prevalent than ever. There is no escaping it. The world's most valuable and powerful AI is more prevalent than ever. There is no escaping it. The world.
Why is Meta investing $16 billion in AI data centers? Oh God, 600 billion?
Most valuable and
Google announces 5 billion euro AI investment in UK before Trump visit.
powerful companies are betting
Companies are betting on AI to help lift productivity. Workers need to be part of the process.
All of their chips on this. And with the latest releases of image and video generation models, which as of recording this video are models like VO3, Sora 2, and Nano Banana 2, and so on, the impressive power of generative AI is indisputable. Its value and necessity, however, are disputable. And I want to dispute it. Also because I think my disputing it on my platform is an important part of my contributing to keeping this conversation ongoing and open. And if you find yourself on the fence as I was a year ago, or even pro AI art as I was 3 years ago, I would love to encourage you to watch this video and also be open and share your experience, your thoughts, and your journey in the comments below.
Yeah, or in my case, I'm going to watch your video and I'm going to make comments as I go. Yay, React content! Yay!
Let's get started. The problems with AI have become clearer than ever. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time in this video arguing facts that are supported by evidence and studies that other more intelligent and well-spoken people have already argued.
And that's one of the main reasons why I don't make too much like noise about AI is I'm uneducated. I'm not going to go out and do a whole bunch of research because I'm bad about that. I'm very bad about it. I can barely keep up with my work half the time. I'm not going to go down an entire rabbit hole to learn about generative AI and then find out later I went down a completely wrong rabbit hole and I don't know where the fuck I am anymore. Is a pain in the booty.
Instead, I will simply state the facts about the problems with AI and link to my sources in the description, which will be from verified journalists or content creators who share their citation. The data centers that we currently have, as well as the massive ones that have promised to be built that are required to empower AI and generative AI, are having a massive detrimental global.
How much electricity do data centers use? And can they run on renewables?
Impact on the environment and
thirsty for power and water, AI crunching data centers sprout across the West. With promises of jobs and hopes for tax breaks, server farms are reshaping local grids. Plumbing and politics are they a boon for communities or a burden? Oh. That makes sense. You know what? That's actually a good point. Like, these data farms have to be massive, right? Like, they're crunching constant numbers in order to keep their AI actually like thinking and doing its job, which means they're going to need really powerful servers to do that. Which explains one, why the RAM hike has started happening. RAM again, I think people have been calling it, but also like they're chugging electricity
on local people's wellness and on the health of global impact on the environment and on local people's wellness.
Yep, a massive cooling system too. True. Data centers claiming a larger share of power use. Total data center electricity consumption, 6,000 gigawatts an hour. 6.7%, 12% of U.S. consumption, 6.7. Projected range. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Jesus.
And on the health of nearby populations.
Well, that's not
AI
good.
LLMs like ChatGPT.
The emerging problem of AI psychosis. Oh, this is another one. Amplifications of delusional by AI chatbots may be worsening breaks with reality. Cali already has drought issues, and those are water sinks. True. Yeah, true. And that's probably some of the areas they're wanting to be setting them up. Cali, Texas, all these locations. Yeah. Dude, the AI psychosis thing is so bad. AI chatbots are taking people's lives. People are so starved for like a connection with a person or with anyone that they're willing to go to something that will just, and not just starve for that type of attention, Starve for that type of attention that will give you affirmation. Because that's what the AI does. It will just affirm whatever you're thinking. You can ask, hey, I think I can figure out how 2 plus 2 equals fish. And the AI will be like, you know what? I think you can. And honestly, I'll help you out. And it'll give you like this whole bullshit sort of equation and just, make you run with it. And people want that echo chamber. People love echo chambers. And AI is a perfect echo chamber. Because all it's going to do is just repeat the same shit over and over and over again. The loneliness epidemic, and then the glaze of AI chatbots. So fucking sad. Yep. The AI bots follow toxic narcissism patterns. Well, yes, because they're learning from toxic narcissists. It's crazy. You use an AI chatbot, but you're too much of a dick for anyone to even listen to. Talking to your skull.
Pose potential risks to health and well-being of people that haven't properly been safeguarded against, particularly the mental and psychological safety of youth.
Teens are increasingly turning to AI companions, and it could be harming them. It could be. I guarantee it is. How about the teddy bear that was released pretty recently that had ChatGPT built into it? They had to recall the damn thing because the teddy bear started teaching kids about BDSM and how and where to find knives and matches and shit like that. Messed up.
Which is exacerbated by increased cost of health insurance, psychological therapy, medication, and treatment, which has led to a number of growing cases of what's become known as AI psychosis. Now, if you're looking for articles and studies, they're linked in the description. There's a more entertaining perspective on it provided by Eddie Burback, which, while through a comedic lens, does really effectively highlight risks of confirmation bias and psychosis in AI. Leaning on AI makes you...
Yeah, that happened like last month, somewhere around there. It was nutty. It was so bad.
Dumber. Particularly noteworthy is this study by
ChatGPT may be eroding critical thinking skills, according to new MIT study. Yeah, that's another thing. Because people are just... Before it was... If you had a problem, you Googled it, right? Now you're asking ChatGPT. At least when you were Googling it, you had to actually read through and find the information yourself. Giving you actual critical thinking and, the willpower to make the decision on your own. The ChatGPT, it does all that for you. And it just spits out an answer. How you get there? No idea. Is it right? No idea, but ChatGPT says it is. So, sure, done.
MIT, which shows that critical thinking skills of people who consistently use or rely on ChatGPT greatly diminish, which really hints that we're launching ourselves into a domino effect that we haven't even properly had the time to safeguard against, let alone study. AI development is being driven by corporate greed and is being produced largely without guardrails. AI models are created through the...
And that's the big thing. No guardrails. No, blocks, no stops, or nothing is being put in place in order to keep this stuff under control. And it's just making things worse and not making it better. One of my artworks got thrown into an AI mill and regurgitated into this nightmare. Person offering their services for a modest fee via ArtStation. ArtStation too? The second pick is my original. This is most definitely not the only case, and I'm disgusted beyond measure. That's disgusting. Nope.
The theft of human artwork that it's built on, and at the cost of the ability for humans to flourish in the fields of that work. AI in art, journalism, or video content is fundamentally based on theft and problematic to the future of these industries. And now we're in a position where AI has flooded most content platforms, many product categories, and information resources, removing opportunities and dividing the economy to favor poor fabrications with capital incentive over independent studios with higher costs and who built.
And just as a heads up, this is his coloring book versus that, which let's just break this picture down just a tiny bit. Right out the gate, where the fuck did her arm go? Where's her arm? Where's her neckline? Right? What is in the background? And the annoying part is that the head and face actually don't look like that bad. This hair is going in a weird way, but like this is understandable for an artist to do. But you could have had like an actual artist do something like this and be better about it. This isn't even that good for coloring.
With capital incentive over independent studios with higher costs and who built the marketplace, which its imposters are standing on the shoulders of. And a lot of these problems apply to the broader definition of publicly accessible AI. But I want to keep this video and the conversation I want to have more focused on generative AI for image, video, audio, and text in terms of content creation. And to keep me from going too far off the rails, I'm going to do this by engaging in a debate with myself 3 years ago, as if I'm responding to my past.
So I'm reacting to Jazza, reacting to himself. Yes, I'm reacting to Jazza, reacting to Jazza. Let's go.
Selves opinions as to why I believe he's wrong based on what I've learned since and what's transpired.
I believe AI art is art because humans are using it and because it is referencing humans. It is built by humans, it is examining and referencing humans, and it is in the hands of humans to use.
No, me from the past, AI is not built by human artists. It's built by software engineers and coders who are largely employed by corporations that are motivated by market competition and capital investments.
Well, in one side's defense on that, so are drawing tablets, so are programs, so are the tools we use in order to make art. That's all manufactured shit. Who he was originally talking about, in my opinion, I'm debating him talking to himself and him misinterpreting what he himself had said. My bad. In his original thought process, he's trying to defend people who use generative AI in order to create art. However, that's still not a form of art. It isn't because they are still putting the text in. They're still putting in like a little bit of time and effort. They're not putting anywhere near as much time and effort, but who cares about that? They're still not doing it. However, it's not creating a unique piece of art. It is basically a hyper-intelligent collage at Mach speeds. That's basically all generative AI is. Tracing with fewer steps.
And at the end of the day, whatever power the AI models are capable of, whatever potential they can reach, is fundamentally built on and empowered by the hard work of the human originators of the data that it's trained on, which was gathered without consent and without disclosure. I believe AI art is built on the back of the stolen
art Furby, yes.
work of human creators and is primed for the exploitation of copyrighted characters, intellectual property, celebrities, and public figures. If you want to argue that AI art isn't built on theft and isn't a damaging force, then, well, please do so with Martin.
Bernice King has had it with your AI content of Martin Luther King Jr. Ooh, oh.
Luther King's daughter, who, if you can imagine, has had the horrific displeasure of seeing AI-generated videos that mock, belittle, and taint her father's legacy.
I had a dream that we are not judged by the color of our skin, but by the clarity of our diamond. And shine!
Martin Luther King.
Oh my god.
Even if you can somehow convince her, you'll be hard-pressed to convince the plaintiffs of... Fucking hell. Even if you can...
Disney and Universal sue AI firm Midjourney for copyright infringement. Based? You cannot go after Disney stuff. You cannot.
somehow convince her, you'll be hard-pressed to convince the plaintiffs of major lawsuits, both settled and ongoing, centered around the endless plagiarism enabled by these models. But regardless of whether or not AI art is built on theft, can it still be called art? Be valued as art? Is an AI artist truly an artist? Because they argue that their input...
Oh god. I think he's got an eye in his mouth. Oh. AI artists be like, how do you do, fellow artists?
shaped the outcome. Therefore, they are the artists. This misses a pretty fundamental point about art, which is also pretty hard to encapsulate or represent. Because art isn't art because it has achieved a certain technical outcome. It's art because it's a reflection of us. It pushes our own abilities, our own confidence. It allows us to connect to one another and to a deeper level than we can do without art. Art is valuable because we, as humans, value the humanity in the story of art. The journey innate in the art and everything that went into making it, that led to it being made, and why. I'm going to illustrate with an example from my own experience.
So, unfortunately, this is back to where I was talking about before. The more you tell somebody they're wrong, the more pushback you're going to get. So, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who use generative AI who think they are full-fledged artists, right? This is basically telling them, no, you're wrong, and everything you're doing is incorrect. Which, if you're told that about anything, all that's going to happen is you're going to be like, wow, your opinion does not matter to me anymore. I don't care. And then you're just going to move on and do whatever the hell you're going to do. Is he right in this one? I don't know. Unfortunately, it's not going to change anything because, once again, you're putting, like, the people who believe that, what Jazza is saying, me included, we are the people who are artistic people, and we are the people that enjoy consuming true, actual created product. We are only half the conversation. There are a lot of people out there who don't care about that process. They don't care about the work that goes into it. They don't care about the feeling that went into it. All they care about is the final result. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it look okay? Does it not look okay? That's all that matters to them. As artists, we care about the entire thing. I like to tell them, well, you are very good at playing with the art generated toy. Yeah. And that's all it is. It's an art generating toy. It's not an actual artistic device. It can be a tool in order to make certain tasks in art a little bit easier, like for animation, auto coloring in betweens and all that, to, speed up that process. But you still want an artist to do the actual job so that the machine can do things, can pick up a little bit of the pieces in between. But once again, creators care about this. Consumers don't. Sorry, creators and creatives. They care. Consumers don't. And unfortunately, the ones that pay the bills are the consumers. That's where this is going to be falling on deaf ears. That's my concern about this entire argument.
Now, I make a lot of content. It's my job, but also at my core, I'm an artist. So my motivation is to create things that I'm passionate about in the videos I produce. At every possible opportunity, I try and incorporate art and my passion and motivations into my content. But on very rare occasions, I make art that I don't make for YouTube views or subscribers. Earlier this year, I spent weeks on an oil painting for my wife's birthday. It's a recreation of one of her favorite photos of her favorite horse in a sweet moment interacting with our son. I didn't film creating this piece because that wasn't my motivation. My motivation was to create something that I knew I would be proud to give her, and in which I could push myself the limits of my personal abilities to give my wife something that she loves. That's harder than it sounds because I have painted a painting for her before. I did try and hit two birds with one stone, admittedly, and make content with it too. This is about like 8, 9, 12 years ago. She was honest enough to tell me that she didn't really like it. She's a straight shooter. She's an honest critic. Hey, do you want to come check this out? My wife has stepped in. Tell me if they look similar.
That's pretty good.
Not bad?
That's pretty good, especially for your oil painting skills, which are mediocre at best.
The point is, I really wanted her to...
Honestly, that is the best type of critique you can get. Be like, that's pretty good. You're not great at it, but it's pretty good for you. At least from somebody that you care about. Their opinions matter the most. And you should, when your opinion matters to somebody more than anything else, you need to be 100% honest with them. Hydrated.
Like this painting. I poured my heart into it and I stayed up late and I fought for time to work on it, and when she saw it, she wept with joy.
Aww.
And not just because she considered it to be technically good, but because she knew that I put everything into it. She knew that it was the best painting I had ever made, and I made it for an audience of one. I made it for her, and about something that I knew she cared about. And she knew I cared about making it my absolute best. She knows how little time I have outside of work, and whatever time I do have, I usually dedicate to our family. So she knew I would have had to work my guts out to make something just for her. Here is the same photo, recreated artistically through various AI models. The results vary in technical output and stylistic interpretation. Some people might consider some of these better than the one I made. But are they art? No, I cannot truly believe that any of them are truly art. Sure, they can be referred to as an artwork on the surface level, but there is no prompt that can replace my artwork, and the context and the emotional impact that gives it its meaning. Even the quality and technical outcome has value based on the context of my skill and creative journey and limitations. To further illustrate, here's another example.
So once again, this is a case-by-case business. I fully agree. If I were to sit down and, I don't know, my niece would draw me a picture, right? If my niece drew me a picture, I would cherish that so much. I would love that picture so much. Doesn't matter how good it is, doesn't matter how, or anything like that. She put time and effort into that in order to make something for me, correct? Now, if my niece were to be like, hey, check out this picture I made for you using ChatGPT, I'm like, oh, that's nice. Oh yeah, no, that looked like it was kind of fun to make. I wouldn't care as much, but that's me. That's me. If she were to do the same thing for any other project, something like that, at the end of the day, it was a result, right? It's a pain. It's a pain. It's struggle. But we're looking too much at the artist and the creative, and like we're putting too much heart into something that people are looking at it with a wallet and logic, which is going to make this entire argument very difficult to push, which is sad.
This is Princess Mononoke. This is also Princess Mononoke, generated by AI. Anyone who thinks that this AI-generated Princess Mononoke is better than this frame from the original motion picture animation Princess Mononoke.
Before he says anything, no, I do not like this this realistic one. It would not capture anywhere near the same amount of feeling or interest that I had in the original movie, Princess Mononoke. That was a beautiful movie. It was fantastic. I agree. The original still over there, way better.
Is leaning on a perspective that is void of empathy, context, or technical understanding. See, Princess Mononoke would...
Empathy is a word that needs to stop being used as much. I understand. It is good to have empathy. Unfortunately, once again, a lot of people don't have it. And the more you try to tell people they need to have more empathy, when they feel they do have empathy, it's going to do is cause them to, buck against you.
Was revolutionary, a blockbuster animation that challenged Disney's dominance, tackled nuanced and complex moral themes in a medium that, up until that point, was hardly seen as anything other than children's content. The AI Princess Mononoke is 100% unoriginal, derived from someone else's design, and generated from a foundation of other human artists' hard work for which they were not credited or compensated, and the result is technically flawed and uninteresting. Worst of all, it strips the original character of her soul simply to reimagine her as a sexualized pin-up girl with come hither eyes. A comparison...
Okay. Unfortunately, your argument does... I hate that I'm doing this. I hate that I have to do this, but because, once again, I don't like generative AI. I don't think it belongs anywhere in this, in the artistic medium. Unfortunately, here's what's going to be said. What about fan art? Fan art is the exact same thing. Somebody could have drawn something exactly like this with using fan art, and would you do the exact same? Would you say the same thing to them? No, because they created it. But, well, let's go through his points again.
First of all, it strips compensation of other derived. The AI Princess Mononoke is 100% unoriginal.
So is fan art.
Derived from someone else's design.
Yep, that's what fan art is.
And generated from a foundation of other human artists' hard work for which...
That is what generative AI is, correct? But once again, that's what fan art usually is. I understand where he's coming from because, once again, this is just a very fancy collage. This is a very fancy collage. That's about it. But once again, somebody could just easily say, it's fan art.
Which they were not credited or compensated, and the result is technically flawed and uninteresting.
Not that technically flawed. Like, it definitely has problems, for sure, but once again, good from afar, far from good.
Worst of all, it strips the original character of her soul simply to reimagine her as a...
And once again, and this is a bad line to use, period, because that is what a lot of fan art does. Rule 34. Your Rule 34, Princess Mononoke, and it's going to give you pretty much the exact same thing, and it would have done that for the last, 30 years. Okay? 20, 25, whatever, how many years it's been out. Once again, I don't want to argue against this. I'm just saying, when you say stuff like this, the people who you are saying it to will 100% agree with you. But the people who need to hear it won't care because you're telling them they're wrong and they're unempathetic. And they are doing things incorrect.
Sexualized pin-up girl with come hither eyes. A comparison like this completely misses the point of art and ignores the context of a single frame out of over 144,000 hand-drawn and hand-colored frames of animation cells that make up the whole piece of art.
And once again, that's fan art.
Which is Princess Mononoke, the revolutionary animated film, which must also be appreciated within the context of the limitations and the era in which it was created, for the same reason that this and this and this must always be considered groundbreaking, not because of how the outcome compares to what you can fart out in your spare time on Midjourney or Sora 2, but because of the genuine revolutionary impact these artworks have had on art and technology and society as a whole. Producing AI art no more makes you an artist than playing Call of Duty makes you a soldier.
Correct. And that's what you need to tell them. It's like, you have fun with that, buddy, but it isn't proper art. It isn't proper. It isn't the proper thing. You don't even have to tell them that. Just be like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. I'm glad you're having fun with that. I have to disagree with equating art only to its revolutionary value. I agree. Yes, 100%. Yes, that is a very, very important value to art. 100%. Like, Prince, going through his list here, like, one of the first, animations.
And this.
Snow White, which, once again, was actually, had a lot of, like, tracing involved in it, like, rotoscoping.
And this must
Wizard of
always
Oz,
be...
yeah, like, yes, these are all important pieces to art history. Making a generative AI piece about it isn't shitting on those. A lot of people that are doing it are looking at it as fan art. And that is not the history's worth. These pieces are timeless no matter what happens. I could draw I could draw a picture of Princess Mononoke. I could draw a picture of Alice the Scarecrow, Cowardly Lion, and the Tin Man. I could do all that myself. It's not any different. But it's still not the original, right? This is a bad argument. I'm sure he has more arguments here. You can't fight the fight against AI with heart, unfortunately. You have to fight it with logic.
Considered groundbreaking, not because of how the outcome compares to what you can fart out in your spare time on Midjourney or Sora 2, but because of the genuine revolutionary impact these artworks have had on art and technology and society as a whole. Producing AI art no more makes you an artist than playing Call of Duty makes you a soldier. Something is...
Or you have to also say there is actually I'm hoping we can get the investors funding off it so it can die. I don't think it's going to happen. These are the masterpiece examples, and get the point. These are the masterpiece examples, and get the point he's making. But his wording just feels like it devalues smaller works. Not even fan art, but just art in general. Unless I misunderstood his wording. So so you're misunderstanding a little bit of. No, I think you're understanding his wording pretty well. He is, I'm going to say, fighting against generative AI. He does not agree on generative AI. He doesn't believe it should be anywhere near the process of creation, which I agree with. Unfortunately, he's trying to find like case points on how to really like solidify why generative AI is bad by saying actual art has to be made with heart and soul. I agree, but the people who use generative AI, that's not their care. They don't care about that. They don't care about the power usage. They don't care about the water usage. They don't care about the large ramifications. They don't care about how much time and effort people need to put into making art. They care about the final product. And they care about getting that final product. That's all they care about. And unfortunately, as long as generative AI is able to produce that final product, then it's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to be prevalent. It's going to be continued to be used. This will happen soonish. The AI bubble is going to burst, but the bad part of that is that the US economy is going to suffer heavily for it. Just like when the housing bubble and the dot-com bubble bursted. Generative AI is actually not developing any revenue. They're propping up their value numbers with loans and investments and nonsense. So far, unfortunately, it does make numbers. Temu, for instance. What's it called? Etsy, DeviantArt. Most commercials that are actually being put on TV nowadays, almost all of them are using generative AI. If not slightly, heavily. And they probably bring in just as many numbers as anything else. Like, I'll talk to my family. Like my parents, they're elderly, they don't know much about art. They don't care that much about art, even though they made me. The end result doesn't matter. The end result is all that matters. The in-between, that's just a thing.
Is missing. And after all that, if you still disagree, I'll just point out that AI agrees with me.
AI agrees with me. Definition of art. The expression of application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. The various branches of creative activities such as painting, music, literature, and dance. And once again, a person who uses a toy to make art will still think that, hey, I made this. I put time, effort, and thought into this. Thus, I am artist. Which is the annoying part.
This is Google's AI definition of what art is. Art is the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. And based on that definition and the previous examples that I provided, I hope it's clear to you now why I believe that AI art is not art.
Okay. AI will empower compelling thought-provoking creations. Yes and no. Let's see where this goes. I was really hoping I'd be agreeing with him a lot more. I really wanted to. And I do agree with him. I agree with him 100% with every single thing he's said. Once again, though, we are the wrong audience for this argument. Of course we agree. Of course we agree with his statement. I don't think a single person in this channel would disagree with him. With any of this. But the problem is, none of us use generative AI. And the people who do use generative AI will watch the first 7 minutes of this video and be like, okay, I'm done, and walk away. And that's the problem. Let's keep going.
just because a majority of uses of this will be people giggling and going on DALL-E 2 or Stable Diffusion and writing a hot dog wearing a mustache in a stadium, doesn't mean that people won't be creating really compelling, thought-provoking, or inspiring things.
Oh God, this one aged poorly. I have yet to see a single piece of genuinely compelling or inspiring AI content, let alone art. Artists become artists through work and time and the ability to absorb criticism, and through developing a respect for the understanding of the process, that becoming an artist isn't about the destination, it's about your commitment to the...
Okay, see, that's absolutely fantastic. At the beginning, I thought it was going to be one of those little art pieces where somebody is just throwing blobs of paint at the canvas and then look at it and be like, art! But no, he ended up actually like finding one that was really good. Like, this is beautiful. This is fantastic. Would this provoke any extra thought from most people? No, unfortunately not. Trust the process for you. I should be trusting the process. I tell people to do that all the time, and oh my god, I was so scared. I was letting it play out though. I was letting it play out. But unfortunately, once again, creators and creatives will see this and love this painting and be like, holy shit, especially with knowing the process going into it. Like, damn, you managed to do that with what you did? Holy crap. Like, I have no idea how the fuck he managed to pull this off. But the consumer will look at that and be like, that's kind of messy, don't you think?
Journey. And what I really just didn't understand at the time of my previously held beliefs in AI art is that the technology is inherently appealing to people who do not respect or appreciate the journey to becoming an artist. As a result, people who have developed their skills or appreciation for art forms have moved away from the technology, while the people who are tempted by shortcuts...
Being an AI artist is the same as being a movie director. No. You have a vision and you get others to bring it to life through your prompts and direction. It's still art. No. Oh, you can't hear Blythe? Okay, let me bring you in here. But yes, so being an AI artist is the same as being a movie director. You have vision and you get others to bring it to life through your prompts and direction. It's still art. No. Once again, if you tell them no, they'll just ignore you and be like, prove me wrong. Because technically what they're saying is technically true, but it's not, because there's no like back and forth input. It is stealing. It is 100% stealing. But they're not seeing it that way. And they will never see it that way unless you can logic through their own stubbornness in order to get to, you know, the final middle ground, like an actual conversation. And unfortunately, that is a very difficult thing to do.
And who are eager to claim ownership of outcomes they have not earned or do not even understand on a technical level.
I use AI art because it's clearly superior to human art. AI art completely outclasses human creativity. AI art democratizes digital creativity. Now you don't have to graduate from absurd art schools. You never did. You never fucking did. I weep for humanity. Yeah. But see, once again, this is why I'm saying the things I'm saying. Do you think any of these people who are making these posts would look at Jazza's video and be like, oh, you make a good point, man. God, I should have more of a heart. Do you think any of them give a shit about that? They don't. Do you think they care about the definition, like the dictionary definition of what art is? They don't. They don't care about the process. They don't care about the technique or anything like that. All they care about is Here's the picture. It's in my hands. How it got there, I don't fucking care.
Level are eager to embrace it.
Let's face it, AI art is better than most human art nowadays. And no, it's not. Because once again, technically speaking, like, it's good from afar, far, far from good. If you're looking at an AR piece from a distance, it looks decent. It does. I mean, if you're scrolling through Google Images or Pinterest images and you don't have the filter off or anything like that, you're going to see a whole bunch of AI art in there and be like, okay, this all looks really cool. I like all these designs. It's getting my my thoughts going. But as soon as you open up that picture and actually look close at it, that's when everything starts to fall apart. Because it's not technically right. It's not. There's a lot of like tangent errors. There's a lot of like bleeding of pixels and everything like that. It just looks wrong. But once again, I don't care.
Wholeheartedly. So in reality, me from the past, this hasn't led to the elevation of ideas or of art as a whole, rather the debasement of it. The fact is,
that I agree with. Because once again, yeah, it's the debasement of idea. It's removing the in-between of of like conceptualizing to creation. It's removing all the in-between steps. For instance, like, how many revisions, how many like steps do you think I got to get to where I am right now with like my entire setup here? So many steps, so many things popping up, and so many things I had to like work out, figure out, do once, do twice, do 5 times. If I had just pressed a button and had like been like, okay, generate me a overlay with that's dungeon themed with a talking skull companion with a blue slime as my Vtube model, and give me some stream avatars that are like little slimes that have clothes. But would that have given me anything even remotely like this? And I wouldn't have had that journey in order to, work out any of the kinks. Having the actual journey from point A to point B gives you the opportunity to make changes, to like grow the actual product in order to create an even better product. Because like this is my second overlay that I've had, and I've only been doing this for a year. Starting next month, we're going to have whole new bubbles for you guys to be playing with. Soon enough, this guy here is going to be an actual like asset on my model. Like, there's going to be so many changes. Changes happen because of process. If there's a process, changes can happen. Things can evolve. Things can become better and grow. If there's no in between, I have an idea, here's the result. There's no growth. It's just, boom, done, next.
the algorithms that are the foundation of social media platforms create financial incentives that are geared towards rewarding the shock value or money-making capabilities of content output. This is
It's such an important step, because often your initial idea and what you end up with are quite different. Yep. 1,000,000%. Right? And that is where you need to actually, like, fight AI. That's where everything needs to, that's where the fight, in my opinion, kind of needs to be. Not, like, fighting morals or ethics or anything like that, because, once again, the other side doesn't care about that. All they care about is the result. And if you can look at them and be like, yeah, you got a result, but the result's kind of shit. Now, if you had actually, like, had a process and had a team and had actual, like, work behind that process, the result would have actually looked a million times better. That might actually create a thought. Like, okay, have two groups go into something. You're going to have the AI generated person come back within a day. You're going to have a group come back within a week or a month. However, whatever that group went in with, after that month, it'll come back a million times better than any of the generative AI stuff. Because there would have been a lot more thought, a lot more meaning, and a lot more like process to it. And it would sell way better. Easily. But they'd have an entire month of generated AI product that they can then shit out. So it's like, what do you do in that moment? Quantity over quality, right?
Is not a motivation for artists who are committed to a journey of pursuing and creating art, because pain is a part of the process. They've learned it by being on that journey. It does, however, motivate corporations and businesses that want to cut costs and
Yep.
individuals who want a shortcut
Yep.
to profit.
This is a real website that attempts to sell AI art as if they were pieces in a fancy gallery. Yep. And they sell.
Or attention or validation. And AI has provided an easy path for the creation of content that can be mindlessly consumed and
I saw this video and I was like, oh my god, stop.
viral solely through the novelty of it defying reality rather than it being attributable to actual skill or effort on the creator's part. AI content, now widely referred to as slop, is neither compelling nor inspiring. The guerrilla vlogs, the knives cutting incomprehensible objects, it's all tuned towards the knives compelling nor inspiring. The guerrilla vlog.
I've seen one of the gorilla vlog videos, and it was actually kind of funny. I'm not going to deny it was actually kind of funny. And I hated that it was funny. And I've seen people reacting to that gorilla vlog video and being like, this is fucking hilarious. I enjoy this. Because, once again, they're not looking at the technical aspect of it. They're looking at the final result. And they don't care about anything in between. So it's like, the argument falls flat.
The knives cutting incomprehensible objects. It's all tuned towards brainless novelty and content consumption purely for its own sake. Low-hanging fruit created and designed to trigger the dopamine to keep you watching.
Yes. And we are an entire society who is addicted to dopamine. We require it. It is important. It is something we need to have in, like, basically drip fed into our veins at every opportunity. So, unfortunately, AI art generates a lot of it. The Cocomelonification of everything. Yes. Save us, Lord Bubbles. I want to, but it's a very hard fight. And unfortunately, this video has been doing a very good job of explaining why AI art is bad for the wrong people. It's an echo chamber video. It's a great video. I 100% recommend anyone watch this video. Everyone should watch this video. However, it's not going to change the argument at this point in time.
And for no other reason. In the early days of AI art, which is a year or two ago.
But how do we talk to people who don't want to hear it? Can we actually make video and have it work? I'm assuming you mean, can we actually have a dialogue and make it work? Yes. I 100% agree. I do think that there is a way to actually have this conversation and make it work. You need it needs to be fought with logic, not hard. It needs to be fought with results, not not feeling. And unfortunately, the people on the side of non-generative AI are people who have done everything with emotion and feeling for everything. Like, that's so the dark side of the force. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to kind of look at it. Like, AI art is the dark side.
Reaction to AI generated art and images had a wow factor that was always going to be temporary. Now the novelty's worn off, and what's left isn't the result of people using this technology to push the envelope or inspire or elevate art. On the contrary, it's cultivated a kind of widespread skepticism. And now human artists are faced with two challenges: to cultivate their craft and share their work in a world already oversaturated with content and now slop, and to justify and prove that they actually made it. A task that is becoming harder and harder every day. It also creates a landscape that serves to disincentivize people from starting a creative journey, because if this is where it leads, who cares? Like, why try? And by elevating technical outcome as the be-all and end-all, we diminish the journey and the beauty in flawed and imperfect creations that are a necessary part of that journey. So now great and noteworthy.
The magic is not easily accessible to people, and it's never been easily accessible. The people who want to make use of generative AI right now are people who never got the chance to really like enjoy that spark of creation, or who did enjoy that spark of creation but never really got a chance to really go anywhere with it. And the thought process of like, I just started my art journey, but what's the point if AI can do it this much better? Like, then yeah, you failed art. But you don't have to, because the second you give up, that's when you fail as an artist. As long as you keep fighting, you're an artist. As long as you keep on growing, you're an artist. Growth and learning is art. That is what it means to be an artist, in my opinion. The moment you give up and start taking like the AI shortcut in order to make perfect art, you in my opinion, you've lost the plot. But at the same time, that doesn't help the situation, because you're just telling somebody, good job, you failed. Once again, it's a hard conversation to have.
Art is vastly in the minority and is seen with a level of suspicion that devalues art because of AI. While I was writing this video, I heard someone in the next room say they assume everything is AI unless it's provable that it's not.
Yeah, which sucks. It sucks. As an artist, like, that sucks. People, thankfully, I haven't had that issue up until this point, but at the same time, I have. When I transitioned from traditional to digital art, I had friends and family say, "Man, I wish you'd you'd actually draw again. I miss your real drawings." I'd be like, "This is real drawing. What are you talking about?" "No, you're using a tool to do it." I'm like, isn't that the same thing we're doing right now? And those same people are using generative AI stuff. It really bugs me. And I hate it. Because digital art, to a lot of people, was just like generative AI to everybody else, because they thought, wow, you're just using a cheat in order to make pretty looking pictures.
experienced this myself with shocking, disgusting realization when I saw the trailer to the upcoming film Wildwood. Because this very opening frame, just this split second when I was flicking through TikTok, my brain went, ugh, AI. And I could have kept scrolling. But if I did, I would have missed something really special, because what actually proceeded to play before me was one of the most inspiring displays of craft and artistry I'd ever seen. Go watch the trailer to Wildwood. It's f***ing amazing. It looks so good, and it makes me really want to try stop motion to a more ambitious extent. At the end of watching the whole trailer, which thank God I stayed to watch, I was like, oh, good.
There are still craftspeople out there.
But it broke my heart that my gut reaction to the
and I just had that too.
Split second first moment of seeing it was of a lack of trust, was of skepticism, and that alone.
Give me 1 second, everybody. 1 second. Okay, I'm back.
Is harmful to art and creators. In short, I now believe that generative AI does not empower art or people's creative journeys. Rather, it's largely acting as a poison to it.
Yes. Okay, I'm hoping that we'll have a proper argument here.
I believe AI art is intertwined with the future of art as a whole.
I would agree with that statement with one minor change. AI is intertwined with the future of content. And while art can be content, the current content landscape has a very different motivation and influence than art does. Where art is empowered by connection and context and communication, content is motivated by the algorithmic retention of attention, which is converted into views and engagement, the final destination for which is money. Now, I can't spit acid at this process. At the end of the day, it's my job. I'm a content creator. But when we're looking at the conversation about AI and art.
But yes, and yeah, I agree with this. If you're fighting it as against the use of generative AI in content, it's an uphill battle. You are not going to win. I would like to see that, at the very least, generative AI should not be in actual production, and it should not be able to be used to generate money in any way, shape, or form. Once that is basically globalized, that's when the AI bubble will burst. And that is the only way that the AI bubble will burst. Until that point, AI is going to be a prevalent thing. Yes, specifically generative AI. AI isn't bad. Generative is.
We kind of need to step outside of the art framework for just a second, because the reason trillions of dollars has been thrown at AI isn't because these billionaires think investors think AI will elevate humanity. It's because they believe the pursuit of superpowered AI at its core is the pursuit of limitless power and limitless wealth. That's why they're rushing with limitless recklessness.
Yeah. Yes. That is 100% correct. Yes. Okay. We're on the same page now.
I think it is meaningful and useful to use AI.
I remember an artist training his own art on an AI and generating it over and over and over until his AI could only spawn monstrosities. Just for the lulz. Oh no.
As an art making machine, because art makes people think, makes people feel, and helps people talk about and engage about the human experience. AI can be used to help us navigate this next stage.
Oh, my sweet summer child. If I can come to the defense of my past self here, it's that my arguments were both limited by the lack of learning and resources and evidence apparent in the outcomes that we are all witnessing now, but also that my determined technological optimism was founded on my own lens and motivations for the use of AI art. Because if I had superpowered technology, I would use it to create art and empower creatives. But generative AI is not an art-making machine. It's a content-making machine. And as we've covered,
Yes.
the kinds of people interested in using a content-making machines aren't typically artists, and what they produce generally can't rightly be called art. So who is this content-making machine for? Who does it benefit, if not artists? Well, surely content creators. Well, to a limited and short-term degree, yes. It cuts the time and capital expenditure that might be spent on artists. But even if you don't care about paying or crediting artists or even the quality of your output, content creators who lean and participate in the proliferation of AI are killing their own future without knowing it by flooding platforms and fatiguing viewers with slop that in the end, even their AI content will drown.
Kurz made a good video on this as well. Maybe we'll check out that one later. Not today, though. After this video, we're probably going to be calling it, but a generative AI is being used for content creators 100%. Like, if you go and you actually are trying to, get into the content creation space, like a lot of the YouTube videos out there will be basically either AI generated videos spouting the same 10 talking points over and over and over again, or it will be somebody saying, here's how you can use AI in order to create, basically create whatever the kind of content you want, easy, and make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And that's the thing, like, some of these content farm YouTube channels are raking in thousands of dollars a month. I'm scared of those AI cat videos. I don't like it when a normal cat breaks my immersion by randomly dancing at the end so much. Yep. The main target of generative AI as a whole are for non-creatives. And when I say non-creatives, I mean people who don't care about the process or the actual, like, middle ground of art. So I'm talking your grandparents who aren't artists and didn't grow up with art as being a prevalent part of their entire existence. I'm talking about people who just logic speakers, people who are all about logic and results. They will be like, yeah, no, AI is perfectly fine. It's here to stay. We're just going to be making use of it all the time. But even they will agree that these AI commercials, these AI creations, as like actual products, are disgusting and terrible and stupid. Like these for real doll pets coming out. Even my parents, who know nothing about art and like the creative process of creating a picture or anything like that, they'll look at them and be like, that's so stupid. I hate these AI commercials so much. Like, thank you. But then they'll tune in and watch a completely AI generated YouTube video of a country song with a weird country artistic picture. And when I bring up like that AI picture is so disturbing and terrible, and they'll say, why? Like, look at the hands, look at that person's eye, look at that person's eyes, look at the way that sign looks and all this. It all looks wrong. And they just say, it's a cartoon style. It's not a cartoon style, it's just wrong. But once again, they don't know. They don't care. That's who the market is for. That's who generative AI is for. People who don't know or care. That man has 7 fingers. Well, there was a person in The Princess Bride who had 6. Who had 6 fingers. Is that a problem? Right?
In the noise of. So if generative AI isn't for artists and it isn't actually really in content for creators in the long term, who is it for? Billionaires and corporations. The big sell for corporations, of course, is cost cutting. You get to spend less on humans who you lean on to create your products and services.
And who are annoying and thinky and complain and want more and more from you. computer doesn't want more. All it wants is to be used. Well, at least it's not 7 fingers. Fair.
We see McDonald's and Coca-Cola leaping as soon as possible to create vast ad campaigns leaning on generative AI. Artists like Taylor Swift leaning on generative AI to promote her latest album. And the irony is insane when, at the end of the day, these are the people that can most afford to pay artists. AI in its current state is built on capitalism, and
I might have words on this one. AI can also work for artistic inclined people. Like if someone makes a story or explains something and has AI generated content to enhance the story or education with pictures, I think it's A-okay as well. Yes. So for instance, like if someone were to come to me, right? And they'd be like, "Hey, can you make a picture for me?" I'm like, "Sure. Do you have any references on what you're looking for? You have like a mood board or something?" And they say, "No, but I have this AI generated image of a rough idea of what I'm looking for." I'd be fine with that. Because once again, they're using an AI picture in order to create a rough draft. So I can take that and be like, "Cool. I'm probably not going to follow this 100%, but I have a good idea of what you're looking for. I'm going to expand on this by a lot." And as long as they're okay with that, then we're golden. If I then come back to them and the picture that I made is like vastly different because I've gone through it and I've been like, this doesn't work, this would work better, this would feel better here. I talk to the person, trying to get a few better ideas, going through it, and it comes out and it's a completely different picture. If they come back and say, "But it doesn't look like the picture I gave you," I'd be like, "Yeah, because the picture you gave me was an AI slop, and this is a final product with everything that we have actually put together in order to make the thing happen." Oh, that reminds me. There's so much ChatGPT fanfics on FFN without any double checking. Almost every ChatGPT fanfic will end up saying, maybe, just maybe, so-and-so at some point in the story. They are constantly and they constantly contradict themselves. Oh yeah, easily. Yep.
capitalism doesn't care about people, let alone art. It cares about capital. My favorite comparison of AI is from Mary Making Noise on TikTok, who put it simply,
And some of you want to act like children. Let me put this in a way you might understand. AI is a need. It's being sold to you as this magical tool that can do anything, when in reality, it's a piece of junk that is ruining everything good and natural about the world.
if you
That is not a good way to put it. Here, let me just read this really quick. I used to listen to HF Humanity Fuck Yeah, and you really notice which ones have been written by people and which aren't. Yeah. So, once again, that is... Okay, I need to re-listen to this.
of AI is from Mary Making Noise on TikTok, who put it simply,
And some of you want to act like children.
Calling them children is just going... They've already clicked off this video. They've already clicked off the video. Just as a heads up.
Let me put this in a way you might understand. AI is a need.
That's not a word. That's nothing. That's nothing. That doesn't explain anything. I'm sorry, it doesn't. One way to tell if a story is generated is if they repeat themselves every 10 seconds. Is a need. That's not a thing. That doesn't even like register to anyone.
It's being sold to you as this magical tool that can do anything,
Yes, and that's why people use it.
when in reality, it's a piece of junk.
If they stuck around to this point, they've clicked off.
That is ruining everything good and natural about the world.
And you've lost them completely. The need is a thing from the Lords. That's where I heard it from. Right, a MacGuffin item being sold to people. Yes. Something that can do whatever. Once again, they don't care. That's not a thing. That doesn't matter to them. Why not just say unnecessary product? That would actually work a little better. This is an unnecessary product. But to be honest, this feels like the digital artists are no real artists debate all over again, just with higher stonks. Correct. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. When I was transitioning to digital art, my family and friends were telling me they missed when I did traditional art because they don't view my digital art as real art. And I'm like, who are you to tell me that it's not? And that made me just dig in my heels and fight with it more. I'm like, I'm just not going to show you my art then. I'm just not going to care. And it's the exact same thing. Yeah, it's an unnecessary product. Yeah, which makes sense. Oh, we are losing frames apparently.
If you don't understand this reference, I highly
yeah, thank you.
recommend doing yourself a favor and reading The Lorax by Dr. Seuss, but replace the word thneed with AI content. It's a perfect comparison.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Be open-minded and optimistic.
So we're about to see a massive overhaul, and I think it's really important that we talk about it, that we're really open-minded and earnest and honest, but I believe also it's really important that we're optimistic and that we work towards the good of humanity.
Finally, something I still agree with.
What you saying here, Folly? AI could be useful as an analytic overview tool for information processing, but everything it analyzes or summarizes needs to be reviewed and verified by a human. There was a video I saw where a doctor talked about AI threatening the jobs of doctors and gave the example of lung x-ray with a very barely visible blotch in part of the lung that doctors might miss, but the AI flagged as a possibility. That could work really well as a tool if the doctor is still part of the process to verify. Once again, I agree. Fully, I do agree. Because once again, if the AI flags it as a problem, all that's doing is being like, that. All that should do to tell the doctor is be like, oh shit, maybe I'll double check this. And the doctor can then be like, no, that's just something in the x-ray, that's nothing. Or, oh shit, I did miss that. Thank God I had this thing double check. And then they could follow up on it. But the whole we're going to lose our jobs thing? Tell me, has a traditional artist lost their job because of a digital artist? No. Oh, Folly, you just reminded me about a lawyer dude who used ChatGPT to come up with his defenses. Oh no. The AI made up information that doesn't exist and the lawyer dude presented it anyway. Wow. That's bad. Tell me you're bad at your job without telling me you're bad at your job. Oh, geez. But no, like, you can use it to generate something, use it to generate, like, a starting point, but you're going to have to go over that thing with a fine-tooth comb and fix it. It's like a scribble challenge with art, right? You can scribble something onto the page and be like, okay, it's art. What nobody's going to look at as art, they're going to look at it as a scribble. You then have to go over that and actually, like, sculpt that into something. Oh, guarantee he lost the case. The lawyer I am thinking of was in a lawsuit with Steam. That's funny.
I see it slightly differently now, but let's go with it. We are going through a massive overhaul, and I still think it's important that we're open-minded and honest and earnest. And even with all the negative crap we've trudged through so far, I still see some cause for optimism. I believe the general reception for this vast inundation of AI slop is largely negative and fatigued, and one where
yes, I agree. It is largely negative and fatigued. I sit in with a bunch of elderly people all the time who are just like, yeah, this AI stuff is getting so annoying to watch. Like the parrot that yells full conversations is just gross, and the cat sitting on a porch playing the violin and playing the piano, pissing people off, is getting to be annoying. Some are funny to people, like the overly large people falling on glass floors and destroying things, or falling into the water and bouncing around like a buoy. Those ones are funny to some people, but like, once again, they're just going to be farmed out, and people are going to eventually, I hope, start getting just like tired of seeing them. I hope. Your internet is dying. No, it's probably mine.
Consumers demand that the value of art and artists be upheld. And one where I have reliably been able to feel like I can see from the comments when something is AI. And it's not viciously said, it's just informed. And that's helpful to me. I wish the platforms would do that. They sometimes do. It's hit and miss. But the point is, all in all, people want to be aware when what they're consuming is AI, because people want to be in control of what they consume and be aware of where it's coming from. It really reminds me of like control of what.
Sorry, this has nothing to do with anything, but the green screen effect on his little ball chair here is really not working. That is the reflective light of the green that he's sitting on is bouncing back into the ball, and it's making parts of the ball invisible. It is so goofy.
And be aware of where it's coming from. It really reminds me of like progress with consumer awareness in regards to animal welfare. Like knowing the conditions and space and living standards that the food that you're consuming comes from. Recently, Mr. Beast launched his own platform upon which he had an AI YouTube thumbnail generation tool.
I saw this, and you know how expensive that shit is? Holy crap, it is so expensive to use that program that he was trying to give. And for what? Nothing.
And this was met with immediate and firm backlash. People voiced their frustration at the fact that this tool would take away human work that could do a better job of this, and also that, frankly, the outcome would, if successful, just continue to fill their platform with more of the same slop, just in thumbnail form. And it was
taking people's jobs away. That doesn't matter in the argument, because once again, if your work is good enough, it doesn't matter. You're going to still get work. You're still going to find people to do things. It's just when you try to say, well, what about the people's jobs? What about them? What about them? People get and lose jobs all the time. It's unfortunate, but that's not part of the argument that we need to make, because they don't care about that part. You need to think, what do they care about in this entire conversation? That's what you need to remember, and that's what you need to try to dispute. Jobs aren't a thing that they care about. Anti-Luddite. Possibly. I'm not 100% sure what a Luddite is. I can't remember off the top of my head.
This public's response which caused MrBeast to disable this AI tool and publicly acknowledge that the tool was fundamentally hurtful to creators as a whole. That's a good outcome that was achieved by the response from a cultural understanding and agreement that has developed from people who were jointly fatigued by the unrelenting proliferation of AI slop in their content feeds. This and other examples like it show that if there are enough people who want to limit the ever-grasping reach of AI, that we can push back with some degree of success.
AI is the next phase of humanity. In a lot of ways, yes. But let's see what happens.
Artificial intelligence will evolve to be no less than the next phase of humanity.
I agree. AI will definitely define our next phase of humanity. Yeah. The outcome is unknown, and it will likely take place over a roller coaster of events, including possible complete economic collapse, if, of course, AI is the bubble.
Wall Street sees AI bubble coming and is betting on what pops it. They are craftsmen against the Industrial Revolution textiles needing less pros. Correct.
Bubble that many experts say it is. So,
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah. No, that's exactly it. Like, just because, like, the Industrial Revolution happened, is a professional craftsman out of a job permanently? Like, no, no. Like, a woodworker or a person who like makes handcrafted wooden things, yeah, their product is going to be more expensive, but they still get work. They still get lots of work. But then there's people who can, like, there are people who make pens, right? Like, they will hand make pens. Oh, sorry, I got burps. They will handcraft pens, lay them down, and sell them like that. They still get lots of work versus companies who make just, yeah, pens. Like what is it? Like lathe down wood, resin, and metal pens. Yeah, they get work from people who want that quality and who are able to pay for that quality. And that's the same thing with art. People who want real art will go through the proper channels. I bet their merch domain is Pen Island. No, that's for a different place. But companies came out and were like, we want to make our own pens, and they will be available to more people. Does that mean that these expensive, high quality created pens are any less valuable? No. It's just people are going to be like, I'm probably just going to go to the Dollarama and get myself a pack of like 20 Bic pens and call it a day. Give me a quill and ink and I'm golden. Until I run out of ink or quills. Yeah.
I'm not optimistic or trusting by default anymore, but I believe in being open-minded now as much as I did 3 years ago, and I think it's clear that I meant it when I said that I believed in being open-minded because, well, I changed my mind. Which means if I'm no longer for generative AI and I'm in fact against it, then I must ask, what would it take for me to once again change my mind and be open to being for it? Well, generative AI is just a subset of AI as a whole. So in order to share what I think AI art would need to be for me to accept it, I would need to step out into talking about what AI as a whole would need to be. Bear with me because I think this is going to start to push at the edges of believability. I believe for AI to truly serve humanity, it needs to be guarded against unrestrained capital pursuit. So take, for example, the strides being made in the world of medicine. Google is developing AI models of identifying cancer at least as good as professional oncologists. And more recently, one of its models helped develop
Our gamma model helped discover a new potential cancer therapy pathway. Oh, wow.
method of turning cold tumors hot, which
How C2S scale 27B works. Major challenge in cancer immunotherapy is that many tumors are cold, invisible to the body's immune system. A key strategy to make them hot is to force them to display immune triggering signals through a process called antigen presentation. I can't read the next sentence because he's cutting a chunk of it off, but yeah.
which could in theory lead to much earlier identification and treatment of cancer. Now this is still untested to a great extent, but we've also seen massive strides with AI-dependent surgical robots, which have the near-term potential to perform complex and minute surgeries with more precision than human surgeons. Now while of course there's capital incentive
Separate something from capitalism. So capitalism, in my personal opinion, is not a bad thing. In fact, it's actually kind of a good thing to have capitalism. Now, hear me out. Hear me out before you guys get your pitchforks and all that. Capitalism is very much like the pursuit of, like, growth with reward. And if there is no benefit to something, there will be no, like, reward for that thing. Thus, if there's no, like... So, think of it this way, okay? If generative AI... How do I word this? As an idea, it feels okay, but it can't survive human greed. Nothing can. Human greed will kill everything. Greed is just... Everyone says pride is like the father of all sins. Greed is literally like the drive of all sins. Because let's look at it this way, right? Communism. Okay? That's what a lot of people want to try to, like... Communism is wealth for all, correct? However, there is always going to be that one person at the top of it that is going to control it all. Whereas capitalism is wealth for those who earned it. There's still going to be people who have managed to break the system and get way more, but at the same time, you have the ability to actually, like, earn your spot in a lot of things. Mi casa es su casa, correct. Which, unfortunately, that means that somebody owns that casa. And it's not always you, and that person is probably going to be putting people you don't want into your casa. So, having... It's me, I'll fight for it. Sure, it might go okay, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it would. So, at the end of the day, like, keeping things in a capital situation will allow things to grow properly because there's actual reward going into it. And they have to give that reward in order for it to grow. If you try to take it out of the capitalistic viewpoint, then nothing will grow anymore. It will just stay stagnant and everything will go towards one source. And that source will then give nothing back to anyone else. So it's a whole thing. I don't think bringing capitalism versus anything else into this is going to be a helpful conversation. It's just trying to take anything out of capitalism or trying to fight against capitalism, I don't think is going to be a very beneficial thing. Because quite frankly, if it wasn't for capitalism, I wouldn't be able to be doing this job right now. Quite honestly.
Behind the layers of this stuff, at the end of the day, the core motivation of the AI that's being produced and developed here shares the same goal as the medical field it's entering, and that is successful surgery and treatment and diagnosis of diseases. Now that's all still very early days, but it hints at some of the cool possibilities of things that could revolutionize medicine and science, for example. But then we face another problem. What about the doctors?
I feel like it's the hero issue of, like, underdog fights and build so much of their kids that they're kid privilege one and can't understand their parents' background. Yeah, I can see that. And I'm already hearing where the conversation's going. I will hold my criticism, but I have a feeling where he's going to be going with this direction, because I do also know the problem. Right now, the way the AI thing is going is it's going from capitalism to communism. And that's the direction things are going, in a bad way.
Scientists, if AI is going to do it better. Regardless of what industry we're looking at, in the end, we are always going to face the problematic payoff of the promise of AI. If AI can replace all human labor, then income simply cannot be tied to human labor for its value. Even the most ardent capitalists will eventually have to face the problem of AI empowering late-stage capitalism. And that is, once you've cut all your expenses and replaced all your workers, how are people going to afford your products? Because they don't have jobs. I believe that a world which effectively replaces human labor with AI must be a world which guarantees income and basic human necessities in order to function. At the very least, some kind of universal basic income, which ardent capitalists hate because it sounds an awful lot like socialism. And yet we all know that capitalism is just selective socialism. This seems to have got very political, but at the end of the day, AI art is
AI, and AI is intrinsically tied with politics and humanity. So,
how might generative AI look if it were actually an overall good part of our future? I can imagine something like a tax, or if you hate the word, license, where powerful Gen AI tools are freely available to businesses and people, but the works that are produced with them or the businesses that use them are required to contribute a chunk of the profit to a resource pool that is then redistributed to universal basic income or to verified human art projects. And in that sort of scenario, AI is then actually empowering people. And the fact that it's built on the skill of...
Yeah, I agree with that. Because that works. And once again, like, unfortunately, most of the target audience for this entire conversation have left the video. I'm hoping that they will stick around to, like, I'm hoping that they would actually stick around and watch the entirety of the video. I wish he probably put this further into the beginning of the video. But, yeah, this is like the most important thing. Using generative AI in order to support people. That is the most important thing. Because right now it's not supporting. It's just creating without any growth. Which is not beneficial.
Humans gone by actually is contributing to an overall greater good. If it's contributing to everyone's financial well-being and sustainability and actually empowering the leisurely pursuit of art, while limiting people who would use generative AI's ability to exploit the work of others for financial gain. Because in a system like that, successful work produced with generative AI would be contributing back into the system that is feeding people. I'm not an economist or a historian or expert in any degree, but there are certainly systems that don't exist and may not even be realistic, at least not today, that are worth talking about and thinking about. It's hard to, because we can't really imagine anything like that being possible with systems set up as they currently are. But
and I'm just a little blue bubble on the internet, okay? I know nothing. I know nothing about, like, the greater, like, look into everything, but I'm a person. I'm a human being behind this avatar. If you think about it hard enough, anyone can see how anyone would feel in these arguments. Just, you know, use your brain, use your... Yes, Liquid. I'm a human. Boogity boogity boogity. Tear down the fourth wall. What the hell?
the systems of today are proving quite fragile. And if they fail or need to be repaired or replaced by something, the more we discuss these difficult things together, the better educated and empowered we can be to organize and collectively demand that the system that replaces it is built to properly cater to humanity. In a future where labor is an option and where art doesn't have to be commercially viable to be pursued.
Yes.
This video has been uncharacteristically long, but I will try and keep it brief. Here is my current stance on generative AI as of the very end of 2025.
They really are weird.
I hate AI in content. It's gross and tiring, but it's here, and some people do like it, so what do? I don't think we should shame or vilify people who do use AI. This only serves to further divide us and incentivizes people who use generative AI to be misleading and avoid disclosure.
It took us forever to get to it, but oh my god, we're finally on the right page. We're on the same page, yes, 100%.
I honestly don't mind AI as a non-commercial toy for generating ideas or effectively mood boarding. I mean, you can't escape using AI as a mood board anyway, because you Google something and half the Google images or anything on Pinterest is already generative AI.
Yes.
It's frustrating and annoying as hell. And as such, I really don't think...
No pitchforks needed. Nope, we're good.
think there's any point in shaming people who do use generative AI to generate ideas, but I don't condone it being used at any point in the production of the outcome of art. A fun example is this TikTok creator who I really enjoy, who doesn't create AI content of glass food, but reacts to it by actually making the glass food in reality. And that's really freaking cool. I mean, there's an example of how you can roll with the punch and use it to motivate your craft. I mean, as a result of her videos, I really want to try the glass sculpting thing. It just looks so cool. And it's probably way harder than it looks, but God, the results are satisfying. But that's as far as my comfort currently extends, especially based on my newfound understanding.
I use Pinterest and most of the things on there is AI. I just doom scroll and look at pretty things. Yeah, you are apparently able to turn off AI on Pinterest now. Apparently. I've never tried. I don't use Pinterest, so I'm not 100%, but apparently you can.
Standing and changed opinions on AI. And I think it's important that we keep a level of social pressure at play which demands accountability and the valuation of humanity in the things that we produce.
You know, I was giving him shit earlier because the entire argument was an echo chamber, but I think his entire argument was actually like to break through the artistic and creator and creative art echo chamber a little bit, to try and calm the pitchforks down a little bit. I probably won't, because not because I don't wanna, but because I'm lazy and forgetful. There. And you're not allowed to complain. But yeah, no, he's trying to like. He was talking to the echo chamber so that he would hold on to us for the end, to actually get through and be like, we don't have to shame them. We don't have to give them shit. They're just using a toy. Let them play with their toys. Fine. But it's when that toy starts becoming commercialized, that's when it starts to become a problem.
My wish list for responsible generative AI would be that AI needs to be regulated across the board in how data centers are made, and that those who built them must be made to do so in a way that is responsible and sustainable, in how AI models are trained and how AI content is distributed. I mean, I want inbuilt like watermarks that are invisible so people who want to opt out of AI in their content feed can reliably. I mean, we have content safety options for things that contain violence and sex. I believe AI content should be treated with the same level of importance because we're dealing with things that are arguably even more impactful to the long-term health of society. And I believe it's imperative that the trust and safety
I could see someone making an AI-enhanced Etch-a-Sketch. That's good.
that generative AI has already aggressively dismantled be rebuilt. We need proper incentive for the regulation of fake online accounts that are controlled by troll farms to simply create noise and division and aggression in social media spaces, with proper guardrails and consequences for companies that don't protect their users from fake accounts and from fake content. And while we're building our dream wish list, for AI to be required to only use renewable and clean energy in its production, which would rapidly accelerate the importance of these things in the market overall, the result of which would benefit everyone. And of course, something like a universal basic income, which would be required as a safety net in a society which no longer requires human labor. Do I think this list is likely? At this point, not really. But I do think it's more likely the more we talk about it and the more we're open to uncomfortable discussions.
So I really want to hear your opinions in the comments down below. I know my opinions are very overdramatic and I want to temper them and be really reasonable in how I approach a future piece of content where I try and put it all in one place and package it in a way that everyone feels that they have a voice. And we can honestly and earnestly look at artificial intelligence, its impact on art, and how to navigate that moving forward.
I haven't always been right, and I don't claim to be right about everything now, but I have always been, and I don't claim to be right about everything now, but I have always been listening. And I really appreciate those of you who even might have disagreed with me in the past, but stuck around and engaged in the conversation, while making room for me to simply be in a different place to your thinking at the time. And I think that is one of the most critical things that we can do moving forward. We are all on the same side. We are all people who are going to be impacted by how this all shapes out. And if we work together, even if at times we disagree with each other, that will be the thing that will give us the most power to have a voice in a shared future, which is currently in a rocky place and which matters to all of us. And likewise, if you don't agree with stuff I've said in this video, or you think I've gone in the wrong direction, please talk about it in the comments, and I trust everyone who's going to participate in that to be respectful, because at the end of the day, we're all on the same team.
Team Humanity!
And if you want to support Team Humanity, go to jazzastudios.com. There's 50% off of all digital products. It really is a huge and direct support.
Capitalism.
To me and my family and this studio, who are all humans and don't use generative AI. We make art with our hands and our hearts. And from my heart to you, thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the very best in 2026. Who knows what lies ahead of us? But what I do know is that we're all in this together. Also, shout out to Nakey Jakey. Should have said this earlier in the video, but I feel like I might do all of my future videos like this. I think he's really onto something. Whee!
And that was Jazza's stance on AI. It was a rocky conversation. I apologize if you guys didn't like a lot of my points on this one, but by the end, Jazza and I are in the exact same boat. We are on the same page. I agree. If we are going to pursue using AI and all that, there needs to be a universal basic income. There needs to actually be like guardrails put in place, ways for people to opt out easily, and there needs to be like there just needs to be checks and balances. And we don't need to shame people who want to use AI, because at the end of the day, they're just going to ignore you if you start shaming them. And if they're just using it as a toy for fun to do something silly and entertaining, then fine, let them. There's no issues with that. So, like, let people be people. But once corporations start doing that and making issues, that's when things need to really calm the hell down. And once again, go and check out Jazza. Jazza is a fantastic creator, fantastic artist. I fully agree with everything he said in this video. If you tuned off of him because of his stances on AI, well, here's your words on that he is no longer sharing that stance.